I wonder if this happens, what's going to be the impact, okay, to the humanity and our civilization. Yeah. This is another one that in my search for literature in this area, I come to know this. To be honest, I didn't know. I didn't know about this terminology before this. Yeah. But there's something called technological singularity. Now you can go Google it up and find out more. There's YouTube's and plenty of materials there. But as an introduction, if you take a look at this graph, they are putting some of the issues, information about the world, right? World population, right? Is going to be reached 10 billion people. Okay, so if you say where this technological singularity happens, this hypothetical in time here, this is probably what 20. I don't know, 37, right? We are here. Okay, we are talking about what is this? Another 15 years. Okay, in another 15 years, world population will probably be about 9 million. 9 billion. Sorry. I went back and take a look when I was in the university and when I was still in high school, where population was, I don't know, was 4 billion and so on. This is going to be double, and when I was born, I guess, what is it? It was 3 billion. And now if it is 9 billion in 15 more years of time, there are 3 times more people in the world than when I was born, let's say. Yeah. The global warming, storm intensity, rising sea levels, it will continue. Here they talk about the rainforest and the ecosystem and the fisheries. Okay, the peak oil resources is going to be these: gas, uranium. But you ask, right? What is this? What is this technological singularity? Now this is the meaning of it. Okay, it's a hypothetical point in time where they say the technological growth becomes uncontrollable, okay, and irreversible. You cannot wind it back anymore. Remember just now that I say about when you transform, you cannot come back. Well, technology very soon, in 15 years' time, is going to do that for you. Okay, and unforeseeable changes to human civilization backs everybody to vision it, find it, and answer it. Okay, I took a look at this in February 21st in Time magazine, and this is way back almost 10 years ago. In volume 117, number 7, they talk about the year 2045 where the man become immortal. Okay, so this is where supercomputers, machine intelligence, AI has become more intelligent, right? Than our human brain, collectively combined. And this is a process that has happened, right? I mean, remember there was this years back. I remember this famous world master chess player that play a chess with this supercomputer, and in the end, the outcome is the computer beats the brain, the human brain. Okay, those are just glimpses, I guess, process in the building up to this technological singularity. At this point, I'd like to share a video, okay, with you.
Grammarly does more than catch errors. With Grammarly, you can find
one of the apprehensions that people have about this technological singularity, which is really a metaphor. It's a metaphor borrowed from physics to describe what happens when you go through a black hole. The center of a black hole is a singularity. The laws of physics as we know them kind of collapse or implode. They no longer apply. It's a great metaphor that we borrow to use to describe what's going to happen with technology. We're going to hit this inflection point, this singularity where it's going to be like a runaway train that builds on itself. And the Terminator scenario is that this artificial intelligence, this algorithm is going to wake up, it's going to achieve sentience, and it's going to turn on us. But that's, I think, an erroneous way of looking at it. Some of the more optimistic futurists in Silicon Valley, including people like Kurzweil and Kevin Kelly, for example, who wrote What Technology Wants, say that what's going to happen instead is that we're going to continue to augment our own thinking by offloading more and more of our own cognition, our cognitive apparatus, to non-biological intelligence. So it's not so much that that mind is going to rise, that artificial mind is going to rise up against us, but that we're going to continue to become more non-biological. In other words, we already offload cognition onto non-biological props and scaffoldings. When you write something down on a piece of paper, part of your thinking is happening on that paper. Part of your thinking is happening by you moving your hand on that pen. Part of your thinking is occurring when you stare at the contents of your own mind on that paper and reflect on what you wrote. We already incorporate non-biological aspects into our thinking apparatus. There's a great essay written by these cognitive philosophers called David Chalmers and Andy Clark, cognitive philosophers, called the extended mind thesis, which says that things like an iPhone or a smartphone are already manifestations and extensions of the mind, and that the mind is actually not limited to the brain, but that the mind exists in the feedback loops between brains, tools, and environments. So that's why we say our thoughts shape our spaces and our spaces return the favor. That's why they say that everything we design is designing us in return. Marshall McLuhan used to say, we build the tools and then the tools build us. So what really exists are feedback loops of mind. It's not us versus them. It's all one large distributed intelligence that has biological and non-biological parts. That's why I don't think that we have anything to be afraid of. It's just billions of baby steps that increasingly extend and augment our creative capacity.
Right. Okay. Now, there's two camps in this. Yeah. One is saying like he is more positive, right? He's more is going to help humankind. It's going to increase our capacity and the world we can live in the future with technology. But the other camps who find it's going to be doomsday for humanity because machine will dominate the world. It comes back to those sci-fi movie where the robots turn against humankind and so forth. Some people are very serious in this. The chess player that we talk about some of these. They've asked these guys to build in, security codes, securities, criteria and conditions. So you program into these supercomputers, and cyborg, that one of the criteria condition is that they cannot harm humanity. They cannot. They have to let humanity continue into existence. So you put such information and condition into the supercomputers just to make sure, safeguard that humanity can continue existing with this with these robots and supercomputers. So people are serious with this. Yeah. All right. So my thing is, in the future, if this is going to be the positive one that we take, right, then we have to coexist, right? And we as human, if we want to be staying on top of this, right, this race, we should, right, to ensure continuity of mankind and humanity. But the thing is that we have to work in some symbiosis with the machines, yeah, and the supercomputers. Okay, so you say this is all. Maybe some of you say, oh, this is super duper advanced and in the fiction world, sci-fi movie and so on. But I appeal to you, just take a look at this. I mean, the Google Glass, recently, I don't know why they took it off the shelf, but I wonder if that they continue and building the software and the hardware and with the 5G network. I wonder if we can buy one for the teacher, and let's say a company built one for the teacher where your lesson and whatever best practices when it comes to that moment in time when you teach maths or science, it pop up and give you propose steps, propose materials, propose even things to say, and you can immediately connect and hear, what some of our teachers, the better ones, the mentor ones can kind of help you, give you advice, and keep it live and chat. Many things, right? We can do with this, right? And we are seeing all these things, all these wonderful apps in our iPhones, But with this, you can turn this, right? Like we say, into reality, virtual, augmented, world combined. So what I'm saying is that is there, guys. The technology is there already. 15 years from now, when this creep up to us, we will say, well, just like the pandemic, global disease, it's not the first time people have said, be careful. The Bill Gates have said it, I think, multiple years. Nobody heeded his advice, or maybe they find it's not urgent enough. And now he has come back and bite us big time. Same thing with this, right? Like I said, if we don't, park our vision forward and look at it far and wide, I think we are not capturing the truth, of all these wonderful possibilities with technology that will happen to in the classroom with us in the school, and also, right, equipping our students, like I said, to find jobs and to be able to strive and advise and achieve their fullest human potential when they grow up, right? Uh, we have autonomous car. I mean, some of them are buses and so on, are driving already on some streets in the world. Okay, you talk about robots here, and I think in the future you're talking about this, right? I mean, why I fixed the eye because I can show many diagrams, but I thought the eye is something that central at the core of it. We are so visual that we capture, understands, and look at and appreciate nuances and be aware of it through our eyes. Yeah, they were saying the majority of the brain, I think, processing power comes with the visual images and the meaning, behind it. So Arnold Schwarzenegger will be back to school soon. As a cyborg. And he will teach in the school. And I will then next week talk to Miss Jane, our HR, and I'll tell Miss Jane, be careful in 15 years. We need to probably get a cyborg if it's cheap enough. Okay, Jane, because we need to combine human and machines into our school. Jane? Okay, back to something more down to earth. Yeah, when I was watching some of these TED talks about school and education reforms, one of the speaker talks about this. Right, we are in the middle here, obviously, right? We are traditional here, and why I choose a flowering pot, because look at this pot here. From the seats which are our students, what does school provide? If it's a standard curriculum, standard classroom, standard package, template, although you teach, you give ingredients, you give remedials, you give your lessons, but in the end, look at this. I mean, some turn into roses, some turns into tulips, some turn into, leaves. It's really up to the students to flourish, right? Because we don't own them. Okay, we can only nurture and facilitate and guide them, right? But they are on their own. Without you, they continue to flourish. Whether they turn out to be weeds or flowers is really in their DNA, and it's really up to them, right? So that's why this diagram comes about. So there's two kind of I don't know, ants maybe they talk about. Okay, at one point, because the question posed to this person is they were asking, right, these experts or the educator, what in the future, what kind of school do you envision it will become, the future school? What is their philosophy and the focus? So on one end, they one say, one of the persons say, it's going to be like a push to the end, a research, right? A research R&D type of lab school where students really zoom in on one particular topic and study it very deep to the extent that they stay at the forefront, right, of that knowledge creation and knowledge boundary. so it's research, right? Because you think about it, at the forefront, like I see it, right, of a particular field is research and development, right? So you work with these researchers. Another one say no, no, no. And I mean, it's more like future school because they need to be get ready for future careers. So from very young, right? Yeah, yeah. We send them out to the industry, okay, and work with the CEOs, work with the scientists out there. We work with the people, okay. So it's more like the internship, apprentice type of school, okay. But you do your study, right? But at the same time, you work with these people in the industry, okay, and then you graduate. Okay, so I don't know. I mean, probably it's a blend of both. Okay, we what I'm saying. I don't. This is something traditionally we do in the lab, right? Physics, chemistry, bio. This is something that we send students for immersion, study tours, internship. Right now we're embarking. But these are some of the issues and the gender people are talking about. Okay, so in all of this, if you come back to this education, we have to take a look at now, right? I mean, the next plenary is going to talk about, what is the school educator role is going to be, right? And here I'm suggesting we understand, we embrace this disruptive innovation to integrate into our paradigm, right, of teaching and learning. This very, very, for me, the critical role, like I say, it takes two hands to clap. If the school and educator is doing one thing on the right, the students, I think we need to empower them, right? Because they need to have that agency for themselves, yeah? Because they, not us, not part of us, and they need to own, yeah, their teaching and learning, so they can be independent learners, yeah, building that engine of growth, learning and growth in them, so they have that motivation, they have that confidence, they have all this discipline to continue learning without us, like our vision, lifelong learners. But how to build a lifelong learners? To fulfill their fullest potential. We ask what are the parents' roles? Because sometimes we want to do things like I've said just now in the earlier. We want to do this. We see education as a basic essential services, but to the parents is like it's important, but it's maybe if they miss school one term, it's okay. Yeah, you have a different mindset. How are the parents and how are we going to buy in the parents into our camp? So that we can work together rather than fighting and conflicting with one another. What is the community role, right? What is the industry role? What's the government roles? This we'll share. I'll share. Definitely, we'll have to cover this, right? Time of essence here. Really. I know I'm running behind already. So maybe we share this later, yeah, because this is to me a topic that we'll continue to discuss. But let me just introduce you to HBL 2.0 that somebody maybe in this conference will talk about. If not, then next week we have a PD session. They will do that. Our new and improved HBL. And this hybrid blended model where we integrate the brick and mortar and the online. Just now I say put the students at the center. Mastery and competency based is about personalization. Why you can do that? Because now they're working, right? Just like your online HBL. I'm saying they're doing it most of the time on their own. And in that process, the teachers design, right, that particular assignment and so on for the students because it's done through online platform, catering to individual students. It can be done, right? It can be done. You have kind of hands and legs to move, your particular lesson design, not differentiated, personalized teaching to the students and the materials for them. Okay, it's something that you can't do in brick and mortar you can't, but you can assign students to a particular PC or laptop or desktop and personalize their learning, right, on their own, right? They talk about this evidence-based loop where they can actually just like the algorithms that they've built in some of our when I think you're aware of this, right? When you go search engine or you go YouTube, they ask you log in, who are you, right? You provide your what do you call it, your email address and so forth, and after a while the algorithms learn about what kind of what you like, what you don't like, what particular things you see, what you have seen for the past week, and before you know, they've already suggested topics, suggested things of interest to you. Now how do they come to know this? It's through machine. Now can a teacher do that? Of course you can, but if you leverage on a machine an algorithm to help you, you can have more time and more energy to focus on something else. Yeah. So so in the blended hybrid model, working with the technology and the computers, you can do that. Okay, and that is the AI that, in its baby infancy. Okay, with the hybrid model, you can have more access. Okay, and the cost also, right? Because it's less expensive. Okay, years back, okay, we talk about Good to Great, the book Good to Great, right? And we my presentation, I covered this because it's from the book, and it's called The Power of N. Okay, in 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 life, a lot of times we are presented with either or. Okay, and to be good, if you want to be good, you just choose. Okay, left or right. It's similar maybe at this point in mind. Sam was asking me what is it, Dandut or K-pop, and why can't we have a K Dandut? You know, yeah. So anyway, in the book Good to Great, if you combine the two, you can achieve more. Okay, very quickly, Steve Jobs, this is past presentation again. Yeah, he says you cannot connect the dots looking forward. Yeah, you can only connect the dots looking backwards. Okay, so you have to trust the dots that you have will somehow connect into your future, right? Uh, so let's take a look at the dots that we have. Yeah, connecting the past. Now these are all things, right? I mean, from smart school, student development, AIS, learning wheels, e-platform, mobile devices, virtual lab. These are all things in the past, guys. You have to connect all these dots. Yeah, put it in the future that we should know. I find a lot of one of the weakness that we have is in BBS. I don't know, maybe elsewhere too. Is we keep producing things, frameworks, ideas, concepts, we programs, and after that we say, okay, uh, yeah, somehow magically it will happen, and then we move on, embark on new things. But I think we should, right? We should categorize this into one framework. Yeah, we have too many really sometimes. And we should know what it is. What are these framework? How it synergize, how it connects. How it help support one another. Yeah, to make it work. And then before we can innovate. So that's connecting the past. Yeah, and in the school we have a lot of past. Yeah, especially the conferences. Okay, to me, is also something like this. It's not a machine to me. I see it's like a tapestry. My wife do this. Yeah, I mean her hobby is this. I say you're knitting. You're knitting. She get very upset. She said this is not knitting. I did knitting 5 years ago. This is crochet. Crochet. I don't know it's French word or whatever, but if I see her do this, yeah, I mean, one thing I learned is when she make a mistake, yeah, when she make a mistake somewhere, you know what she do, yeah, if to get it right, she has to unwind the whole thing, the whole section, thread. So, but when she unwind it, is one thread, one single thread that is weaved into this complex, complicated tapestry. So my thing is when we combine things, we need to know what are the threads. So let's say, for example, if I were to say, what is our reading program in primary school, we should take a look at our program, whether it's I don't know, in the classroom, or whether it's across the subjects, into our YI, and maybe if you find out where are all the reading threads, and you combine it, you should be able to see a reading program track, right? If you say we want to find out the communication or the critical thinking or the creativity thread, where are these threads weaved throughout the whole program? Okay, from your learning wheels to your BBS 2.0 to your curriculum, we should be able to see this. That to me is a good command of the nuts and bolts of what you do, right? That I find a lot of times we don't. We just do park things aside, and then after that we move on to other things. Steve Jobs said you connect the past. Your dots is in the past. It's something that you have done. But if you cannot connect and understand and integrate it, you cannot build into the future. You'll be creating another dot in the future. Okay, that's the danger of, I think, a weakness of what we have in the school. Okay, so Jane, right? Joking aside, okay, what's the new education for the school? Okay, I by design, right? I say by design, I purposely kept my long hair, so I look like Tarzan, so that I can, do this presentation. Okay, the jungle gym just now I say, right? Students having multiple career path. Okay, so let's go find our Jane. Yeah, that will determine our future goal and direction. Uh, and don't be afraid to be single, right? I mean, it's just hypothetical, all right? So let the search and adventure begins. Very quickly, I felt, maybe some of you have also lost friends and dear ones. Uh, I I have a friend, yeah, from Diamond High School. It's a friend that last time we were very close, and we lost in touch. 30 years, 30 years, passed, and through Facebook, now we have a group of Diamond High School alumni. So I come to know, many of my old friends. Okay, and sadly, okay, not long ago, one of them passed away, right? It's not from COVID, okay? It's from the big C, cancer. And he in his wake, yeah. Some of my friends went there, and this is the message that he put right on his practically tombstone, about Robert Frost, right? Two roads diverged in the wood, and I took the one less traveled, and that has made all the difference. Okay, and I just wonder, for the brave ones, yeah, they don't follow, okay, public opinion, popular votes, because you want to choose the truth, you want to remain true, uh, and you want to stick with that integrity that you have in your beliefs and the vision. If it forces you to choose a less traveled one, a path, okay, what are the things, okay, you will experience? And that those experience, the others will not know, okay? And to make the difference, you will only experience those, yeah, those things. Uh, okay, I'll share with you this video.
Before you enter the real world, there's some words of wisdom that I'd like to share with you. We don't stop playing because we're old. We get old because we stop playing. Make sense? There's a huge difference between growing old and growing up. I could stay in bed for a year. I'm 81, so I'll be 82. You can stay in bed, you'll be 20. What are you going to be in a year? You're going to be 21. Anybody can grow old. The trick is to seek possibility and growth and use that time and love that time. We elderly people, we don't regret what we did. We regret what we didn't do. The only people who fear death are those who have regrets. And remember, we make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give.
Okay, just remember those last two sentences, right? We make a living by what we get. If you want to make a living, you ask, what is it for me? What do I get? Okay, but we make a life by what we give. And when you give, you don't ask for any return. Okay, that's how we make our life. Okay, so very quickly to end this presentation, it's not that we only have one life to live. Yeah, we only live once. You can't have meaningful life. I've said this before. If you don't have a meaningful work, so like the video say, use your time wisely, seize those opportunities to grow and flourish. Uh, Mother Teresa said this, yeah, we're not called to do great things, but to do small things, but with great love and passion. And just now, the lady said, right, we make a living by what we, not by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. Okay, so let's share the light. In this darkness, today I've shared some light. Maybe I'm one of those candles. But I advise everybody to continue to burn this light, because light is what we need. Hope is what we need, and this is at the heart of humanity. With love, understanding, it will, right, provide that energy and the spirit for us to move forward. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Paulus, for the insightful presentations and also to challenge us to share the light. Okay, thank you. We will carry on with our next sessions, which is the plenary session 1. We will discuss about COVID-19 reshaping the future of education. I will invite the panelists for this session, Mr. Paulus, okay, and Ms. Vasu. Can I have Ms. Vasu here? Thank you. And then next we have Mr. TJ. Sorry, let me introduce also. Ms. Vasu is the principal of KJ Primary, and Mr. TJ is the senior principal for secondary Jakarta campuses. And Ms. Vasu also is senior principal for primary Jakarta campuses. And then we have Mr. Alvin. Mr. Alvin is one of the SD member in charge for the IT. And for our moderator in this plenary, we will have Mr. Richard. Okay, Mr. Richard. Okay, Mr. Richard is principal for secondary Kebonjeruk. So now I will give the floor to Mr. Richard. It's yours.
Thank you, Sam. Good morning to all of us, to the directors, ASD superintendent, principals, and teachers, and to those who are watching live from YouTube around the world. Some of the participants may need to start stretching first after listening to that beautiful speech by Mr. Paulus. I will give you 20 seconds while I introduce this session, because when you listen to the introduction, you can still move. All right, this is the first time actually BBS have done the e-conference, and looking at how well so far it has moved along, I think the organizer has done well, and this may be something that will be a permanent feature towards the future of BBS. And by the way, it's probably cheaper as well. Second, this is also the first time we are watched by millions of people out there in the world in the YouTube. I do not know how Mr. Sam and his team made this happen, but thank you so much for that. So this first plenary session will bring us to reimagine and reshape our perception about education post-pandemic COVID-19. In this world where knowledge is just a click away or a tap away from your phone, the role of educator must evolve too. The role of a school will have to change. The COVID-19 has created a disruption to the world, and of course, a disruption to the education sector. Like it or not, it has made schools to rethink about the approaches, about how we teach, about how we make students learn, and how we pass information and knowledge. Moreover, the impact of technology has and will play a key role in educating the future generation. I would want to welcome all of us to the world's biggest leap and change in education. Now, Mr. Paulus has mentioned in his opening speech that there are a lot of problems and storms around us. But of course, in every situations, if we want to see it from the different side, we can always see how we can seize the opportunity. We can try to dance in the rain together. To start this panel, I would like to ask, maybe start with Mr. Paulus first, and then continue by maybe Mr. TJ, and let's see how it goes. So this first question is to the both of you. With this situation and in the current COVID problems that we are facing, what sort of opportunities at our education level, maybe not at the scientific advancement that is so advanced, maybe at our school education level, what opportunities are more available for this for us? What opportunities are more available for us that we can use to enhance in education? Can I ask Mr. Paulus first to start with?
I've said a lot. I don't want to go back and redo my presentation, Richard. They will take up another hour. But very quickly, I think, okay, if the school, I find everybody is going to go HBL. So it's definitely the building, I was saying earlier, right? Who can build the better mousetrap, in the least possible amount of time, with the least amount of resources, least amount of cost, but the best quality. So that online platform, because nobody is going to school, teachers are not going back, students are not going back, we are all not going back. So that online learning with even teachers and school leaders working from home, how quickly you tap on the resources, platforms, and opportunities to capitalize on this, right? That's not the why and the what, but how to do it. So I will say, the HBL, until the school reopens, where you have a brick and mortar classroom, is the online platform. So how you build the best one, right? For the students and the parents. Uh, and I will say, once we can go back to school, or there are chances of going back to school, like earlier I've said in my presentation, I can see that we no longer can just do either or. We have to do both, blended hybrid model. Okay, there are also literature, books, written on it, materials, that we have to quickly accelerate our learning curve, and then put it into place. I can see, be brave about this, because I really find we have connected the dots from the past. If we can do that, and be one organization, one page, one vision, we can move definitely much better. But that in itself also is a work in progress, right? Because even at this point, we can be arguing and have conflicting ideas whether this is the best model and how to do it. I can do it A, I can do it B way, I can do C way, but we have to stick into one. Okay, so internally we have to sort ourselves out. But once we deliver a hybrid model, don't be afraid. What I'm saying is that in the literature that you read, also, even some of the schools that have pioneered this, they are also struggling, and they are also trying to mix and match, and they are also changing, and even if the book suggested the A, B, C way, D way to do things, some of them are combining this. So it's really up to us, yeah, to take whatever knowledge, whatever concepts, whatever ideas, And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to have confidence that we can do this, and build it for our context. Because even if you have the best successful, best Mercedes Benz, not even BMW engine, but if you don't kind of doesn't work for your environment, work for your context, work with your students and the teachers, it will not. It will still fail, right? So
All
it's
right.
really up to us, right, to come in together and build this. And that's why this is a start, or I see for this school conference where all of us. This is the starting point. We discuss about it, and later on we continue to work at it, and very quickly put up something. So two, online and blended.
Thank you, Mr. Paulus. I have to stop you a bit quicker there before you jump to the next session. You always ahead of us 3 steps. Mr. TJ?
Yeah, good morning all. I think it's very excited that, this is my 5th year in BBS Teachers Conference. And, we are very pleased that, today we are still be able to connect, right, in the midst of all these uncertainties. Now, I think to answer to Mr. Richard's questions, of course, Chinese, there's a word to say that when there is, crisis, there's always opportunities, right? What I want to say is this. The opportunity given to us is that now it forces us as educator, all right, to reimagine, all right, the way that we teach. And also it allows us to really move at a faster pace to look at what are we teaching. This crisis has made a lot of changes in the educational scene. I think one way we all notice is examination. All right, we are so focused on examination previously, just a piece of certificate that allow you to go to university, and suddenly, students cannot take exam all over the world. The university store, they have to find alternative mode to assess the students. They have to find new way to see how students learn. I mean, we wanted in BBS to do all these things all the while. I still remember Mr. Paulus sharing with me, can we move, beyond the paper and pen examination? At that time, before this crisis, you said cannot because Cambridge still do pen and pencil. Right, Mr. Paula? So now they not even have the final exam. So I think this gives us opportunity to reimagine how and what we want to teach our kids. And of course, it gives us a lot of opportunity to explore things that we might not have time to do, especially technology. I mean, I've been working almost, daily with Mr. Alvin on improving our platform. I mean, I cannot imagine how fast our AIS system can actually improve until today, that we can say that we probably offer one of the best HBL around the region. I can say that with confidence because in Singapore, I do see somehow the school with multi-million support from the ministry, they do not do HBL as structured and efficient as compared to us. So I really want to thank Mr. Alvin and the team. And of course, Miss Vasu will share with us how she sees the changes for the primary school, right? The kids are younger. So Miss Vasu, over to you.
Yes. When you see what the future is going to be looking like, we cannot run away from that. However, I still feel that as educators and then as parents, we have to keep the curiosity in our children. We know technology can do this. How can we enhance their sense of curiosity, being inquisitive, asking questions? I think other than being an independent learner, they must be able to have this curiosity to find things. So personally, I feel, yes, we have to make the children grow up quickly. But again, it's no more content-based. It will be, what they, it's not what they know, it's who they know and how they can connect with everybody. So I think we have to give our younger children the best of both worlds because we also don't want them to lose their childhood. So we need to do the balance for that. I think for the lower primary and the primary education, this is what we educators can do. We can give the children the childhood as well as the skills for the future. That's the way I feel.
Mr. Richard, you are mute.
Sorry. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Vasu. I think we all agree that education or schools should not just pass knowledge. It's probably one of the activities that the teacher would do to pass knowledge to the students. But I think that portion is getting smaller and smaller. And it's more for the teachers to allow students to explore and to give them the chances to be brave enough to find answers by themselves. So teachers would be encourager and facilitators. Now with the technology growing and online schools, which or online platform, which was actually has existed for many, many years, but was put as a sideline because schools do not want to change. With the current situation, many schools are scrambling to find ways to go online for HBL and so on. Maybe if I can ask Mr. Alvin, what kind of resources that we can use and tap to improve our not maybe not ours, but the education as a whole, to learn and adopt technology into the education sector.
Yeah, first, good morning to everyone. It is always been our philosophy in BBS that we want technology to help and support our teachers and our students. Technology that follow the users, follow what is the need and help us. We should not be dictated by any technology. We should not follow technology, but technology should follow the users. That has always been our philosophy. So that is why every time we build something, I think what is unique to BBS compared to other schools is that we build our own platform. Yeah. With that, we develop based on the needs of our teachers. During the HBL last term 4, I think most of the features that we added, all the features are coming from the teachers and the students based on the needs. So what we are trying to do is we use technology to help achieve whatever is our endeavor. So we don't just scramble and use this technology have this feature, so we use it, and we needed another things, and because this technology doesn't have, let's find another technology, and then you ended up coming up with different platforms. So that is the challenges that were faced during the HBL for other schools. But for BBS, what we did is we try to be patient and come up with whatever the needs we will support. So the technology actually is supporting our teachers and our students and even our principals and ASD. So for me that should always be the case. We should always use technology in our to help us achieve our goal, and we should not follow any. We should not be limited to the features of any platform or any technology. So for me, that's what I can say about that.
Okay, looking at the idea of technology should follow what the educators or the education centers need to do. Maybe Mr. TJ can or Mr. Paulus can give an idea how or what kind of technology we should take into the education, the next the next technology that we can take into the education.
Well, I guess during this period of time when we engage in HBL, of course, there are many models when we design HBL. But if you take a look at our BBS kind of HBL model, it's a 4-dimensional model. And we also believe that interaction between teachers and students is important. Not just that, I think interaction between students are equally important, because there's something that we learned actually from this episode. Maybe I just share with you, I guess. We have to continue to engage the students in their learning. So this is where we constantly ask Mr. Alvin, right, to design some platform that allow our students and teachers to be able to interact and stay engaged and stay focused, all right, so that they can continue their learning. So this is something that we will look at, and I think Mr. Alvin and the team has been discussing this with other service provider as well, okay, on this. Now, the second thing, I guess, is we also must understand that, you know, whenever we choose any app, any technology, it must value add to our lesson, all right, to our kind of delivery of the lesson and the things that we want to teach. So one example that we can share with you is that, you know, we realize that one of the limitations of home-based learning is the lack of kind of hands-on experience doing the science experiment. So because of that, we raise it to ASZ, and then they are very fast in reacting to this, and they are able to source, all right, a few online supplier or developer that actually have virtual lab for our students. So this is what I want to bring about. I think moving forward, we want the technology that allow our students to have more hands-on and more interaction.
Right. Mr. Paulus, do you want to add on it, or?
You know, I've said earlier, I think I see it as that clapping of two hands. Yeah. Just now we focus a lot of on with this pandemic, with this HBL, you know, with this online learning. What can the schools? How can the school, right, deliver the content? How do we carry on the curriculum? You know, through the online platform. Now, but my thing is, can we at the same time endorse this idea that this is probably the opportunity and probably that rare opportunity where we can throw back this learning to the students, because you need the other hand, the left hand, to clap with the right hand. This is a time, because it's a crisis, you need it for them to bring it and clap. You see, a lot of times this is what you do. But if the students don't do this, they don't come in, you cannot make the sound. So, and this is the time for you to say, okay, students, I want to see, you build into this HBL, your program of requiring the students to do their part, right? They have to own the learning. You build your HBL with these learning outcomes or at least learning agenda. They have to, yeah, bring themselves to make that sound. What it entails is you again have to be there in the home, guiding them, mentoring them, scaffolding it, at the very least you have to require it, right, for them to do. You know, young children, they have not developed these habits, this mindset, this understanding, and on top of that, this initiative to want to do that. So it has to be teacher led, it has to be school led. But unless you build that, like I said, the student ownership of learning with an agency of you know, I own this is my part, you know, and you develop it just like you develop students you know, study habits, just like you develop their other values, right? Honesty, you know, integrity. This is one thing, the student ownership, the responsibility of learning, so that they become more individual learners and wanting to learn, that just now Ms. Vasu said. But a lot of times, you see, we teach content, and on top of that, we talk about how we deliver this content now through online. It's even more challenging. But we don't talk about, you know, how, the student development side, the how to build this little engine of learning and growth. It's not there in our curriculum. It's not there in our agenda in the HBL. That's what back and forth I find is we are missing this opportunity. You know, it's difficult. If you say like now, you say students in my class, yeah, if I get all of them and I say, I cannot teach you guys anymore, yeah, because I cannot be present there with you, right? And you cannot be with me too. But can you help me? I find if you throw this back to the students, you will get wonderful results. Because a lot of times we thumb down on these students and find they are helpless little human beings that you know, have don't know anything much. You know, they need to be handheld, need to be guided, need to be this and that. But if you give them challenges, you'll be surprised at how fast they can rise up to the challenge. They may even surprise you. You know, you know, I find it's like just now back to what I said, the flowering pot, yeah, guys. I mean, all you can do is provide the fertile ground, right? your lessons, your environment, your online features, with the Zoom and so on, so minimize technical glitches and so on. But it's they're the one that grow, not you, not you, right? We talk about education, the constructivism. They are the one constructing the knowledge, not you. So the more we are 24/7 breathing down their neck, the more we want to spoon feed them, and we don't have on top of that uh, um, preach about, or at least advocate, or at least try, right, to build the little engine of independent learning and growth. And on top of that, give them opportunities. These are the best opportunities, I'll say, because what I'm saying, we cannot the teachers, what I'm saying, I cannot pull the students, yeah. If even this I cannot, but in the classroom I can. I can even go down there and touch them and pull them and so on. But this is all the more difficult. So it's more important now. You have to build the student side, okay, of the equation before this can really work. And this is something not in line with what they call it, only the pandemic, only the online learning. We need to do that. No, I mean, this is also the vision that we have in our brick and mortar school, right? To build values, habits, character, discipline, and character and leadership, right? So this is the time to do it. The students need to rise up to their challenge, and we have to give them that ownership, that task, that challenge, and together work with them, right?
All right. Building with that discussion, I think Mr. Paulus did mention little engine within the students. I guess the best time to start this little engine moving is preschool and primary, and Ms. Fasu is um, the senior principal for that. Ms. Fasu, do you have any opinion on that?
Yes, the two things that I like parents and teachers to do is to make sure that the child understands. It's no more reading alone. Today's world, they have to understand. And number two, as parents and teachers, we need to nurture or ignite their passion for whatever they want to do. We mustn't smother it. We should nurture it and keep that fire going. If we can do these things, I think our children will be ready to face the world in the future. This is what I'd like all teachers and parents to do.
Right. To capitalize on technology and helping the students to faster acquire that techniques to read faster, to explore further, and so on. Mr. Alvin, do you think technology can enhance that? We already have MBOTs in primary levels, and we already have this and that. What other technology you think can be used for supporting younger kids?
The idea is, aside from me being in charge of the AIS, I'm also in charge of the computer science curriculum. And our battle cry for BBS in terms of educating the kids in terms of technology is we need to train our students to be creator of technology and not user. Okay, that is why we changed the curriculum into molding our students and with the mentality, hey, there are a lot of technology. I know you learned how to use technology, but we need to develop our kids and mold their mentality into creating technology. So with the robotics, with the other coding skills is very important. So that is why we put it there. But I think it's important to note that just like what Ms. Basu had mentioned, there should be a balance. Yeah, there should be a balance of learning, balance of activities with the kids. So with technology, there are a lot of platforms that they can use. There are a lot of learning possibilities, but it is also very important that our teachers and our parents even should maintain the balance, yeah, of learning. So maybe I know different kids have their different uh, uh, likes and different wants, but we need to, as a parent and as a teacher, identify and support our kids. In terms of technology in BBS, as I've said, we want our kids to be developers and creator of technology, not just users. So that is what we're trying to do.
All right. Um, the next session, we will have more discussion towards internal BBS and how we improve. Some of our answers already touched that. But before we close this, we will open question and answers. So if the audience, you have questions, you may post it in the question and answer. We will be able to see and try to answer. A quick note here, the panelists have claimed that they are not experts. They read faster and they know more because they read earlier than you guys. But we are going into this storm together dancing. So that's the footnote there. But if you have questions about technology or how we are facing the situation post pandemics, please ask the questions there. One question already by Mr. Alex is it possible to add the video feature in the AIS so we don't have to use other platform anymore?
I think if video means video conferencing, is it like Zoom or Google Meet? Uh,
Yeah, let's assume
Actually,
that.
on Wednesday, I'll be presenting the new and improved AIS HBL platform, which include integration of a Zoom video conference in the AIS. So we integrate Zoom in the AIS, so teachers and student actually doesn't need to open different application just to create meeting using Zoom. But we will still use this platform. We still use Zoom platform, but it's integrated today. I'll be discussing all the features, new features of the AIS HBL 2.0.
Right. Thank you, Ms. Alvin, for putting effort on that. I know you and your team has worked hard. So we are adopting Zoom into the AIS. Okay. The next question, I guess we are more into applications to the AIs now. Can we add features where we can create online games and quizzes in the AIS? Like quizzes.
Yeah. Okay. So actually, for the assessment part of the AIS, we are adding different features as well. Actually, we focus more on teachers giving feedback to the students. So in AIS, we support MCQs, true or false, short answers, which are auto mark. Okay, so and then we support also structured questions and all this. Uh, I don't want to go into details. In PD, I will be discussing more on this. So we added some new quiz features like drag and drop, something like that. And as we go along, we will keep adding more features on the quiz. So yeah, we will try our best to add more features in the assessment part of the AIS.
Right, thank you, Mr. Arvin. Meanwhile, I encourage all of us to explore. If you find like a very suitable kind of games or features that is useful, you can always ask Mr. Arvin to check it out. Maybe we can somehow integrate it. The next question maybe is for Ms. Fasu and Mr. DJ. The greatest challenge of HBL is holding students accountable for their learning. How do we motivate them to be responsible in their learning? Especially it's difficult. It's especially difficult for young learners. Maybe can start with Ms. Fasu.
Yes, that is exactly why I keep saying that parents or the teachers must find what is it that makes the child tick. So once you know what makes the child tick, that's why it has to be very personal as you get to know the child. Once you know what is the thing that makes the child tick, then you need to, nurture that. When you keep saying that they have to think like us or do what we want, I don't think that's going to work for the future. We again have to be the support, and we have to be the one that nurtures whatever they want. It's not about the parents wanting, I didn't get to do this, so I want my child to do that. No, they are not the extension. They have to be themselves. So the only way for them to be successful in the future is that you need to give them the support. So for me, that is the best thing that any parent or teacher can do. Then they will just soar. That's my part of the equation. So Mr. TJ, you may want to continue with that.
Thank you, Ms. Vasu. When you pass on the primary school, wonderful primary school kids to secondary school, I think we owe it to you to provide the best. Now, I think most importantly, we have to let the grown-up child, all right, they're in their teenagers, they are moving out from Sec 1 to JC, to know why do they learn, all right, instead of telling them what to learn. I think it has to come from them, their self kind of realizations. Why do I learn this? I mean, the answer shouldn't be, I learned this because I want to get A for exam. I guess this is very wrong. Just like I say that we have to reimagine and realign our objective in, education. So why do you want to learn this? And then let them be able to see, all right, the relevance of what they learn. And of course, follow their passion, follow their interest. And what we do here is to provide them with all the support that we need. So this crisis or this situation that we are in right now, I guess, give us the advantage and give us the push, all right, to move towards this instead of just focusing on examination. But it's something that we have to try together. Just like Mr. Paolo said, it takes two hands to crack. You cannot be just from teachers pushing and the student do not receive. And I guess at the same time also we need to work with the parents, all right, to let them understand the new era of education and the new focus that we are moving towards.
Okay, thank you. I would like to postpone all the questions, the rest of the question for the next session. I would like to stop here and let's thank the panelists for their wonderful explanations. And before we close, I would like to take a moment. I just got this news. We, along the way of growing together and going through all this situation together, we actually just got an information that we lost Miss Irene, our dear friend. So she passed away in the morning today. I would like to ask if it's okay, Miss Martha, to lead us in a prayer so we can pray for this. Miss Martha? Thank you.
Let's bow our heads together and pray for Miss Irene's family. Lord, thank you for this time that we have together as we gather all of our teachers from all around Indonesia and abroad to gather in this place in this teachers conference. Lord, we appreciate the lives of every one of our teachers, those that have contributed to Bina Bangsa School and helped us to grow and help us to nurture our students and our leaders. Lord, at this time, we want to remember the family members of Miss Irene. We thank you for her presence, for Miss Irene's presence in Bina Bangsa School for the past few years, that she has given her life to our students, our teachers. We know that it is by no mistake and by your plan that she has been a part of us, a part of Bina Bangsa School. And now that she has returned home back to you in your presence, we know that you have called her and it's time for her. And now, Lord, we ask that you bless her family as they mourn this loss, that you grant them peace, grant them understanding, and help them to know, Lord, that we are thinking of them and thinking of her, and we know that this is a difficult time, but we know that you are able to provide all good things, and we trust in what you have planned. Lord, thank you for allowing her to be a part of Bina Bangsa School for so many years. And now, Lord, we ask for strength that we can continue the work that she has started and continue to love and support our children the way that she has as well. Thank you, Lord Jesus. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Miss Irene has been with Kebun Jeruk Secondary for many years. She had to fly back just before the pandemic, and borders are closing. In the right time, she had to battle cancers for a few months, or almost a year, I guess. And she had left many wonderful memories in Kebun Jeruk Secondary. I think that should end our session. Mr. Sam, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Richard, and all the panelists for the rich discussions. Now the time is 10:22. We are going to have a short break before we continue to the second plenary session. So for all of you, you can leave your screen, but do not leave from the webinar. Please keep it on. Yeah. And we will start our plenary sessions at 10:40. Yeah, 10:40, please go back to the screen. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the webinar. We are about to start plenary session 2 soon. The topic for plenary 2 is BBS meeting new challenges. So we will listen to the discussions how BBS will face challenges in these uncertain circumstances. So without further ado, I want to call all the panelists for plenary session 2. Can I have Mr. Paulus? Mr. Paulus, can you turn on your video? Okay, while waiting for Mr. Paulus, can we have Mr. TJ back as the panelist? Okay. Hi, Mr. TJ. And can we have Miss Juliana? Let me introduce Miss Juliana. Miss Juliana is one of the ASD member. Academic Supervision Divisions. And another panelist is Mr. Lemuel. Hi, Mr. Lemuel.
Hello.
Mr. Lemuel is the principal of BBS Bandung, primary and secondary. And now I want to call again the moderator for this plenary session, Mr. Richard. Okay. Mr. Paulus, are you here ready? No, it's okay. Maybe he will join us later. Okay, Mr. Richard, now the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Sam. All right, let's get this going. We always claim ourselves, or Bina Bangsa always claim ourselves to be one of the best school in Indonesia. We claim that we are the best school, the best Cambridge school in Indonesia. So we have faced many challenges, and we have passed many obstacles. And following all these achievements that we have done, we are now encountered with, or we are facing now, disruption in education at the scale of an unprecedented scale as before. Now the question is, how ready is Bina Bangsa in meeting these new challenges with COVID situation now and post-COVID situation later? We have embarked into BBS 2.0 2 years ago with smart character and leadership as the main focus. How relevant it is now and post-COVID-19? So this question comes to our mind. Now, first question that I would like to pose is this: what are the challenges that comes into mind looking at the current situation, and still, trying to be able to still claim to be the best education provider or the best school in Indonesia? I will start with Mr. TJ first with this question.
Wow, I thought the question would be thrown at Miss Juliana, right? Okay.
After this, I'll ask Miss Juliana.
No, come on, let's go by the script.
Over to Miss Juliana. But I want to make a claim, we are the best, not one of the best, I think we are proud to say that we are the best Cambridge school in Indonesia. And I think we provide one of the best primary and kindergarten education as well. And I will also want to state that I'm very confident that we provide one of the best HBL, all right, in Indonesia. As I said, I do have the opportunity to compare not just in Indonesia, but also in Singapore, all right. Singapore, they don't have a structured HBL for schools, right? Is leave quite a, kind of autonomy to the school, but the school that I talk to, the school that, I see actually our HBL is of a very high standard. Yeah. So now I throw over to Miss Juliana. Yeah. Are we still the best?
All right, Miss Juliana.
Yeah. You know, there I only see few faces, so it feels like it's a close meeting. Hello, everyone. Good to see you. Yeah, I cannot see you. Good to know that you are all here. Welcome back. It's gonna be a great time for all of us, and I'm looking for a great year with you. So, are we still the best? I think so. If you don't believe in your own product, then who's gonna do that? If we are not the best, we better be the best. We have to make all the resources to become the best, and together with all of you, I think we will be the best. Yes. Yeah. So back to you, Richard.
Okay, maybe the question is this: what are the challenges that you think that we will face when we still want to claim that ourselves, that we are the best? We want to still claim that we can do better. What are the challenges that come into mind when we are coming back to term one with this HBL academic mode? Ms.
Right.
Yulan?
It's the easiest to copy, imitate. It's always the easiest because you already have a prototype, then you just follow. You don't even need to think. But to come up with something that is student-centered, based on the client, as in student, the usability, and coming up with innovation, that requires a lot of thinking. So what are the challenges to becoming the best is you don't know where you want to go into. And sometimes people don't believe in the things that you see, which others may not see. Especially if you are too far-fetched, too ahead of everyone, they just completely missed you. That's what's happening with great people, people with a lot of ideas, innovation. Sometimes you will just get dismissed. You are just not down to earth enough. So that's the first challenge. You need to think out of the box. You need to come up with the new things. And that's really difficult. Another one is everything needs money. You want to get things free, then the consequences is you downplay on the quality. So you need a lot of support resources, which most schools are having difficulty now. I can hear schools around us are having a declining enrollment, and parents are also not having great business themselves and stuff. So the resources to support that great vision, great innovation will be another challenge. Another one is the buy-in. Change has been a constant lately in Bina Bangsa. Things are so fluid, change every other day, and that's frightening to some. The buying in is hard, and I understand why people don't want to change, not because they don't want to change, but they are looking at the better ways. There are other ways to do this, and getting the buy-in. We may lose some people along the way. And that is also good because then the like-minded people will join us. So these three things and maintaining to be the best. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you pointed out quite a difficult challenges there. Of course, resources are really important. And as you can say, to make sure the buy-in is needed there. The other question would be, following with our current curriculum, do you think it is still relevant, or do we have to adjust our current curriculum in Bina Bangsa to adapt and to be adjusted towards the future? Maybe I can ask Mr. Lamuel first from the point of view of primary.
Hi, Mr. Richard. Good morning to everyone. Yes, of course. I think BBS has always been relevant. Yeah, this situation should not stop us from serving our younger generation and preparing them for the future. So, as a school leader, I have actually witnessed how fast time flies and how changes here and there are being implemented. However, unaware we are, the changes we implement are always a product of discussions on how to improve our program to cater to all of the children under our care. So as of the moment, the BBS curriculum is what we feel is relevant to the children. And if changes will be made, I am sure it will go through discussions, and these discussions will have the children in the core.
Okay, maybe you can mention one or two possible changes in the curriculum that you think can be applied to primary level?
Well, in primary, we actually already started even adding another program last school year, which is our program for active learning. So I think that is something that we have to think of how we are going to do it during our HBL program even this school year. So we are now going to also focus on the socio-emotional learning of the students in primary school. And we are also going to strengthen our programs on teaching the soft skills to our students, because nowadays I think that's very important, not only academic.
Right. I'm sorry, I've skipped preschool. Miss Juliana, can you, as a ASD and representing preschool here, do you think our BBS curriculum is relevant? And if not, what are the changes need to be done?
Preschool curriculum has undergone many changes. It's completely structural changes for the past 2 years. And we add a couple of things that, other than increasing literacy, will be to connect all the team together, how all the different subjects are forming one big idea. And we emphasize on the character and also the skills that the kid need to learn. So of all the levels, the changes that can be felt the most is definitely the preschool, because we believe there's a golden years and that is the foundation and totally not the precursor for primary school. Yeah, and it's undergoing further changes. Yeah.
All right, so I expect, or maybe not me, but preschool teachers would expect a lot of variations coming in, and maybe they will have some more trainings to help them.
Yeah, especially with the HBL, it's quite tricky to get the younger kids to stay focused, sitting down, looking at the computer or laptop, how to keep them engaged. It's a totally new challenge that bigger level teachers do not face.
Right. So I do hope that we find a way to help the younger kids, the younger children.
Yeah.
There are maybe ways to do that with functions and applications and all, but preschool teachers would know more. And if you do know more, participants, please contribute, and you can give pointers and information to Ms. Juliana and ASD, so we can enhance our preschool curriculum. We go up to the level of secondary and JC, Mr. TJ.
Yes, I think for secondary school and JC, our mission remains the same. That is to prepare as well or as much as possible for our kids to move on to their next journey of education, which is university. Right. So when we revamped the BBS 2.0, we highlighted that not only we want to prepare them academically, we also want to prepare them in other aspects. All right. So if you take a look at the learning wheel, we have a couple of things that is there based on our new focus, smart character leadership. We have leadership program, which is even more important right now, I guess, in this crisis, because we are talking about a leader to serve in the crisis, right? To rise up as a leader, all right, to lead people to overcome the crisis. So this is even more important. And of course, we talk about immersion program. I was just chatting with Miss Ina, the head in charge of immersion, jokingly, and said that no more trip to China, no more trip to America, to Hong Kong. But she remained positive, and she shared with me and said that it's even more important right now for us to actually do a lot more on the immersion. We may not be able to do the physical one, but I think we can create more bridges between our students and the rest of their peers in the world. So we are going to kickstart virtual immersion. All right. So it's not talking about you visit them physically, but you connect with them in this ever-changing situation. I think for our kids to remain global with a global outlook and interconnectiveness is crucial. Now, of course, we have our MUN, we have our HMCA. Is this relevant? I'm going to say yes. I spoke to Mohan. I said that, in fact, I challenged them to do more, because this is the platform for our students to be able to discuss global issues that affect everybody. All right, not just in Indonesia, not just at Bina Bangsa, but we are talking about the whole world being affected, looking at issues. They may not feel it because they have the best computer laptop in the world. You know, they have good internet connection. HBL to our student is no problems. But how about those in developing countries? You know, they have no devices, they have no internet connection. So let them understand, all right, the world are facing this kind of problem. Of course, we have character education. That's even more important. I'll always joke with my Singapore colleague and friend, you know, they say, what, you cancel your mid-year. We continue with our prelim. You know, how proud we are. Then, of course, the first question they ask me is, are you sure or not? How do you ensure integrity? How do you ensure that there's no cheating? So I said, this show how successful we are. In fact, throughout the whole final year examination, I see no report of cases where cheating takes place. I think this is something that we should be proud that we have done very good in character education. Of course, you move on. So I think we remain committed. We remain even more committed, I guess, to move on. And how relevant? I think our BBS curriculum is ever relevant. Yeah.
Right. I guess all panelists agree to stick with Bina Bangsa School vision to prepare the students to be the best they can be, you know, in different levels and different ways. Talking about HBL and online learning, this is, I think, probably one question that lingers in our mind, all of us here. The question would be like this: since everything is going online and we are going through HBL, are we ever going to be an online school? That question should be going to the captain of the ship, Mr. Paulus.
Are we going to be an online school? Is that a question?
Yes, because it's moving forward, and as you say, technology will not bring us back. We are moving forward together.
Okay, I feel it's online and brick and mortar, like I've said earlier in my introduction. I think the combination of the two, right? The power of and, you know, just not a bit, good and great. There is a synergy. There is a value add. There is tremendous potential if we can combine the two worlds. Because like we've said, the technology you cannot run away with. You know, it's just going to exponentially grow. And if you don't follow that learning curve, you don't follow that urgency and the importance, you're going to get left behind. So it's about time we embrace this change, understand its power, its influence, and it's magic. Yeah, it's magic. It's transformation, and marry it with our brick and mortar, which is the physical school. So it's a combination of the two. You know, that I think a lot of schools, when they're going through these reforms and education, is something that people are just not talking about it. They're walking. They're walking. You know what they're talking about, and you can see many examples. You know, I think we were lucky during this pandemic and the school holidays. We came to know, right? There's a few institutions from America coming in, you know, and sharing with us some of some of their vision, their plans and development. So it's along those lines, yeah, along those lines of thought, mindset, vision that we have to change. And if you say change, I will not say you know, I'm saying either or. It's both. Except the thing is that, you know, this is something new. You know, we've just shared it today in this teacher conference. For many years forward, I can foresee this is something that we have to embrace, put on our thinking hats, thinking caps, and work together as a cohesive unit to bring this to happen. Yeah. So it's both, Richard. But what I felt is this also in the talk just now when we say we're the top Cambridge school, we're number one Cambridge school. Don't forget we're talking about assessment. Yeah, still nevertheless, pen and paper assessment. How we claim you know, our rational evidence basis from our excellence, top in the world, top in Indonesia, what they could be consistently won all throughout these years. So that's academic, right, guys? Academic, you have to park it under smart. Okay, and smart has a second connotation, which is technology. So whatever we're talking about here, you can say we build the best HBL, and if we continue to deliver the academic and the content and drill and practice for the assessment, we're not moving away. We're not moving away from the smart domain, right? BBS 2.0 is about character and leadership, and for me, you know, as I prepare for this presentation every year, I get to know more also of my own thoughts. I felt if you combine smart and character, before you go on leadership, if the students never own this learning and we never get outside, yeah, of drill and practice, we cannot go into leadership. Yeah, let alone branch into, just now I said, a blended model and make it work, because in such a model it's even more complicated. Yeah. In a physical classroom, we have 24 students, 28 there for teacher to control, monitor. You know, you can physically stop whatever nonsense they're doing. But with the hybrid model, especially online, how are you going to control the students? Right? That's why some of you are asking, how do we not only deliver content, how we control and manage the classroom? And on top of that, deliver not just content, but character and leadership. Now, I mean, it's easier to say than done, guys, but if we keep talking about this and never get down to the table and really work out, yeah, the nuts and bolts and the hard part of it, then it remains as a talk, right? So that's how I see it. We have definitely a success formula. Do we do character? Do we do leadership? Of course we have done. You know, it's not like we have zero on those two fronts. Except the thing is that we really got to open our eyes and take a look at whatever weaknesses. Right now, I felt maybe we don't own enough of these weaknesses, or we choose not to see them in our busyness, and we just want to progress and get things done and pass the year, you know, and move on to the next academic year. You know, it's about time when you say change and innovation, you got to really know why you want to change, yeah, and then what are you going to do and how are you going to do it. Okay, I think at this moment we are still talking about why we want to change. I haven't kind of get a sense that we are all embarking on this vision of why we need to change.
Right, thank you, Mr. Paulus. So we are not moving backwards, as in the future, somehow online system and technology will always be part of our classroom educations. Now, moving forward, that we are going to have HBL, home-based learning, at least for the next few weeks or even longer. How ready is Bina Bangsa, Mr. Lemuel? Are we ready with the new structures, adjusted new structures? What about the infrastructure? Has anything been improved?
Yeah, thank you for that, Mr. Richard. You see, BBS, without even trying, has always been relevant, as we are always open to changes, and we look for ways to improve our system. I think everyone agrees with me. This pandemic has also proven how we have always been on track, as when the pandemic broke out and we had to shift to HBL teaching, it did not take us too long to adjust. I must say that our start may not have been the best, but we eventually got the hang of it and emerged as the best. Just like what Ms. Juliana said, if we are not the best, we have to be the best. Adjustment has been made to adapt to the changes and go along with the situation. As what people say, if you can't beat them, join them. So during this pandemic, we have to look into how we can provide the best education to our children and how we can transform into a better school. Our infrastructures are being developed and improved with the benefit of the children in mind. Our focus has always been the children, and if it stays that way, we will always remain on top of the game because they're exactly what we are here for. To this date, our HBL structure is organized enough to make sure that all the necessary skills are covered, and at the same time, the character formation of the children will not be compromised. We are aware of the limitation, but it will not stop us to provide holistic education to the children. Furthermore, we need to always remember that we owe the success of every school program to our teachers. They are what makes us relevant, I believe. And to the teachers, let us reassess our character, because in these trying times, we need to refocus and always remember that we are here for the children more than anything else. The salary and benefits should not be at the top of our list. If you are ready to do HBL, then the school is ready. When it comes to infrastructure, I think, yes, the internet connection, even our AIS, our learning platforms have been improved, as you can see, just like what Mr. Alvin shared just now, this morning. There are more features that are added to actually help the teachers deliver HBL better. Yeah.
Right. A few points there that I would like to highlight. I do agree very much that Bina Bangsa is as great as today is all because of the teachers who are involved in it. So I would like all the teachers to pat yourself at the back. It's because of you, right? And most of the ASD members actually come from the academic background as well, and they were involved in schools before. Now, I would like to stop the discussions then, and go to the questions now, if it's okay with the panelists, because of the time that is a bit short. Maybe we go with this question first. We claim that we are the top Cambridge school in Indonesia. And as what Mr. TJ said, it's not only claim, it's proven by the results. How do we use this advantage to navigate well during these trying times? Miss Juliana, do you want to start answering that question?
Yeah. Number one, people need to know. Apparently, people out there, not many know about being the top school, as in the one who receives so many rewards. How do I know this? Because I hear principals in other schools also claim their school as the top. So we got to get people to know about this publication, more on the social media. This is also when the teachers need to somehow upload things to promote or get the audience there to know that we offer one of the best curriculum, and when you enroll to our school, they'll get into great universities. So people need to know. And number two, we ourselves need to feel proud of it. I find that those who are not teaching graduating classes or do not attend the awarding ceremonies will probably primary or preschool, it's quite remote in terms of the feeling and connectedness. So how do we get ourselves internally proud of what we have done? Because those who have graduated with Top in Indonesia and Top in the World award were also your students in primary school, were also your students in the preschool. And it all combined to form the student that they are now in JC2. So we all need to feel belong. It belongs to us. This is our achievement together. So those two things. And also, not many people are top out there. It means there's only one the best. There's only one number one. You can't have two number one. So we need to also cater to those who are not the top, which is the majority of the school. So if we focus too much on the top, those who are not academically strong will feel neglected. We need to also cater for them because they are the majority of the school. We need to start seeing that everyone is good in their way. If you find a student that has not displayed any strength, and that is the onus on the teacher to find their strength, their talent, what they are good at. I mean, the job that the kids are embarking on now were unheard of years ago. Vlogger, who will imagine vlogger as a real profession until we ourselves become vloggers, right? Yeah. So with that in mind, don't forget the majority of the school. You have the top, yes, but you also cater to everyone. Everyone is different. Everyone deserves attention of the teacher. Everyone needs to feel the experience of success, and the student is our focus. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Mr. Richard, can I add to that, Mr. Richard?
Sure. Go ahead,
because there's a question actually from our participants. The question is, do you agree to parents saying that teachers should be online with the children via Zoom while they are answering worksheets and homework? I think Miss Juliana has actually already given a good answer, which is to focus our students. Some students, I believe, especially the ones who struggle in primary, need us the most during HBL. So making them feel that they are not alone is going to benefit them. It may not be most effective academically, but it will definitely be beneficial for their mental health. So yes, I believe that if we can, teachers should be online to supervise students.
Okay, thank you for that. I guess as what Mr. Paulus always say, it needs both hands. We need to partner with parents and talk to them so that the children will benefit the most. Parent, home, and school, parent and teachers work together is the best way to approach. The next question would be, with the changes in around us, will there be changes in assessment? How do we ensure that students are learning the material? Maybe I can ask Mr. TJ for this.
All right. I guess this is always our area that we work towards in choosing, all right, alternative assessment mode on top of the examination. Of course, if you take a look, we have been moving forward, all right, since a couple of years ago when we redefined the vision of our educations, all right. But of course, this pandemic actually speed up a lot of things. Definitely, we will move towards alternative assessment, all right. We may not be able to get, the kind of very accurate like examination system, things like that. But we also want to emphasize that, the importance of other aspect of learning, such as, being work in a group, collaborative learning, ability to understand things, and most importantly, like Mr. Elvin has said earlier, the ability to create. I think when I talk about creation, is based on the knowledge that you actually learn, all right, and also the knowledge you're able to apply. So definitely we're going to move towards alternative mode of assessment.
Okay, when you mention alternative assessment, Mr. TJ, maybe you can mention one example.
For example, we move into project work. All right, this is where we can actually assess how students can actually work collaboratively to solve a certain problem and to provide solutions. All right, and also before the whole things become COVID-19 school closed, we're actually working on revamping our humanities curriculum. All right, to allow students to be able to assess kind of subject kind of thing. So we're integrating the humanities with social study as well as English. All right, so we are moving towards that.
All right, maybe from the point of view of primary school, Mr. Lam? Is there any changes towards the assessment? Are you going for projects more than just tests?
Yes, Mr. Richard, there will definitely be changes in our assessment. Like before we were doing like a topical test. Now we are thinking of doing mini tests, which will definitely be shared to the teachers later.
All right. So I think we have answered I think we can go ahead with one last question. Hopefully, these last questions can close our sessions. I think this is related to maybe parents and how we work together with parents. The question is, there is a trend for families to be keeping the students at home and not going to normal school like Bina Bangsa, more like homeschooling institutions. Do you think this would be a trend? And if not, how do we encourage parents to stay with us? We'll start with Miss Juliana.
As a parent myself, I'm not sure if I'm sending my kids, even when the government will it so. Safety is definitely an issue, and I can understand the feeling. So, and there's some, I don't know because we talked to some of those parents, and the response they give is just not convincing enough. It's more like they are taking the time to probably reduce the financial expense more than the interest of the student, because the COVID will definitely be over, yeah, be it in a year or 2 years time, and the kid will still need to resume to the normal school, whatever mode it is. So making a permanent change in this temporary situation is pretty drastic, especially if you don't have a vision on what the kid is going to be in 10 years time or which university you're looking at. It's too microscopic a view. Yeah, there might be a trend. There is a trend going there. I don't know how. Yeah, we hope the parents will think further. I can't help if they decide not to. How about other principal, other Mr. TJ? Or who?
All right, Mr. TJ, do you have any opinion on this?
Sorry, I'm struggling a little bit with the mic. Okay, I guess I agree. I mean, pandemic changes things, yeah, but I don't think it's going to change the whole concept of going to school eventually. But what I agree, Mr. Paulus, earlier is that the school have to change to adapt to this new norm or new challenges. So you may even see that, the school can be blended. This is one topic we'll be discussing in more details if we have time, talking about blending the physical school and, the online school. So I do not see myself stopping my kids from going to school per se. I think one of the most important challenge that we have to understand is that we still need to take care of the social emotional needs of our kids. Now, you cannot keep them away from the crowd, just because, of course, it's worried about the virus now and things like that, but you can't keep them away from crowd, from society. All right. We still need that kind of human touch, kind of thing, although in different way that we touch each other. But I guess it's not healthy to keep your kids at home. Totally.
Right. So while during the pandemic, we try our best to engage the students through online. Once this is a little bit better, the condition, then we want the students to come back to schools, and we proceed from there. Following the discussions, I guess online or technology and everything that we have done now will not stop, and we are going to continue to improve even further. There are more discussions and into more details of classrooms after this about blended learning, how we improve classroom teachings. So I will reserve some of the questions that is already asked by the audience, the teachers, to be answered later on, because those questions may be more related to the next sessions. And I would like to thank all the panelists today. Thank you, Mr. TJ, Ms. Juliana, Mr. Paulus, Mr. Lemuel, for the insights that you have explained to us. And I would like to pass the mic. There's no mic, but pass it on back to Mr. Sam.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Richard, and all the panelists for the discussions. So we can learn how Bina Bangsa as the institutions navigate these situations. And in the next sessions, we will learn more about how exactly Bina Bangsa will support the educators, we teachers, and also the learners, students in this new normal. So thank you again, Mr. Lemuel. And I think I will thank you, Mr. Richard, to moderate the first two plenary sessions. We will still have Mr. Paulus and Ms. Juliana as the panelists for the third plenary. And I'm going to invite. Hi, how are you, Ms. Lina?
I'm fine.
Ms. Lina is the principal for BBS Pantai Indah Kapuk Primary. And for the moderator for this plenary session 3 will be Mr. Utai. Please join us, Mr. Utai. Turn on your video.
Still see me.
We still cannot see you, Mr. Utai.
Really? I can see myself. I can see the rest of you.
Okay, okay.
Sure?
Your video is okay now. Mr.
Okay,
Utai is one of the team member of our school committee.
And back again.
So
How are you doing?
he will
It's not
be
okay. Cannot.
leading this plenary sessions. The floor is yours, Mr. Utai.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sam. And once again, good morning to our distinguished guests and all our wonderful
Nothing. I'm not there.
existing as well as new ones. We're happy you could join us because we got some wonderful questions. Why I think this session is really going to be a benefit to all you dear teachers is because
getting better.
the title in itself says
I think they're adjusting
that
it there.
it's going to support you as well as all those whom you are going to educate. So you want to be very, I should say, attentive to whatever our friends here are going to share, so that you can throw the best questions for them, because the answers coming forth from them is really going to affect what you do, how you do, and how to help your learners. Sometime in March, when we all were away for the Lebaran break, we heard news of coronavirus, but it was only at an outbreak level. And that slowly turned to endemic and then an epidemic. And suddenly today, ta-da, it's a pandemic. So, it all caught us by shock, because when we returned for term 4, we realized that everything is going to be online. Yes, some of us are, pretty conversant with online work, but some of us found that as a real shocker. And over the course of time, ASD has been working in the background to make some adjustments. And these adjustments involve lots of meeting, lots of hit knocking and cracking of the brain to think of what's best, what needs to be tweaked, what needs to be adjusted. And that's how HBL came to birth, HBL being home-based learning. So maybe a very generic question directed to Miss Juliana. You can maybe shed some some ideas or thoughts as to how this HBL concept came to formation. What sort of efforts were put in place, or what sort of struggles were faced initially, because it was totally now from brick and mortar with a little bit of e-learning, and suddenly everything is e now.
Okay, so what's your question again?
There are lots of work that was taking place in the background.
Yeah.
ESD were like cracking heads, thinking about what's the best approach forward with formulating a HBL framework. So maybe just shed some thoughts as to the difficulties, the challenges you all face, because it will help us appreciate that when you work in the background, you were also suffering.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God, that's like, all of us, just like teachers, we appear calm on the surface, but our feet are like, we're dangling to stay afloat. The same thing with the ASD. I think the meeting is, we don't know which day it is, which time it is. It's 24/7. And many things that you don't see, like, what are they doing? We're actually doing quite a bit of work. Looking for ways, looking for a better platform, identifying the complaints or feedback, and then how to come up with a strategy to counter that, and putting a better structure, because most problems that we face are like 90% structural problem more than just the individual problem. So how can we accommodate the system to make it better? And with the HBL, I think all of you, the existing teachers, have 3 months of experience under your belt. I think when it comes to transition to remote learning, you have done a remarkable job indeed. When we first closed the school, we still figure out what is going on, but you manage it well. And I remember the experience where teachers were also working 24/7, even at night. And I hear you guys are saying that we are exhausted, the struggle is real. Even at night, you are still replying to parents' texts. So, but that is the current HBL. And what is going to be the HBL? We will continually support the teacher. 2 things that we will do: support the teacher and engage the students. How do we support the teacher? For the new teacher, I hope you learn something during the induction, and you will continue pick up your skills and hone your skills along the way. Then for the existing teacher and all of us, we are working closely with Story Eye and the Apple to deliver online courses to equip us continually with the tools of learning. So this month alone, there are at least 4 courses made available to the teachers. So support the teachers. That's definitely my job, our job. That's what we want to do, and support the schools, support the principals, and then engage the students. Because the core of the HBL the active engagement, student engagement and active learning. And then just the HBL is just one of the strategy. So how do we engage the students? How, like, especially if you claim that you don't have time, how am I going to learn new tools and stuff? You need to have a shift in the mindset. Yeah. Instead of what must teachers do to prepare the student, ask yourself, what should the students do to prepare themselves for this? Instead of making yourself work, you must think about how can the students work. Make the students work, you know, more than you work. Then you will become the facilitator of the content. You're not the deliverer of the content. Whatever the students can find on the YouTube, Google, you don't compete with them. They're gonna do it better than you. They're gonna beat you flat. So do something else that they can't, which is get them to find out those facts and how you synthesize those knowledge. You must see yourself as the facilitator for learning, with all this world as the source where they can pick up the content. And with that, you will find more time into doing these things that you do, right? So support the teacher, engage the students. Yeah, that's what the ASD has been doing.
Thank you very much, Ms. Juliana. You did not only tell us the struggles, but you also gave us a glimpse of what is going to happen when the academic year starts. And that puts us in a very positive note, because it's encouraging us knowing that you care. And I like the fact that you made mention that we teachers really worked hard 24/7, as you put it, to still make sure the HBL worked. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you, dear teachers, on behalf of the school management, that you certainly made yourself available by being a wonderful and dedicated teacher during this challenging time. So we want to progress with the discussion by considering three aspects: pedagogy, assessment, and overall satisfaction, especially on ensuring effective learning. So maybe I'd like to direct this thought to Ms. Linawati and Mr. Mohan. Yeah, we have been following the scheme of work that has been designed based on the Cambridge curriculum as teachers. We have also been preparing the kids for the external examination that Cambridge again designs. We have also been supplementing the needed 21st century skills for all our learners. We have been doing that wonderfully in a brick and mortar environment, with a little bit of e-learning when things was okay or normal. Now we have a new normal. So perhaps some of us might have the question that, well, laboratory is not going to exist, so it's going to be totally zero. So in such a scenario, how do I make sure that the kids have learned enough? Because once upon a time, they had hands-on experience for certain activities. Now they no longer have the hands-on. How can I convince myself as an educator I've done enough? How can I convince the kids, like, look, though you have not done hands-on, you have actually learned enough, you're ready for the exam. Now, how do we convince each other? Any thoughts on that, Ms. Linawati first?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Uta, and good morning, everyone. I think I can understand that is the thing that we have been thinking as well. You talk about laboratory experience when it comes to teaching science, for example. In other subjects as well, like mathematics teachers, they're thinking, they know that the pedagogy is concrete, pictorial, abstract. So you have to provide concrete experience, students need to interact with concrete objects. Now, when the mode of learning change, where the interaction is virtual, how do we come up with that? In English or language also, I think continuous discussion on how to provide, how to maintain the quality or develop the skill of writing. And then for the younger kids, for example, penmanship, kind of like that. And in every subject in primary school also, we are thinking how. But I think for me, what is important here is to actually, I think Mr. Paulus has mentioned that, build the little engine in every student. I think now it is very important, because I can see during the Camp 4, we can see some students who are not very active, who are not seen in the traditional approach kind of learning, they actually appear when they have another mode of communication with the teachers. They are more comfortable when they can reach the teacher through WhatsApp, for example, or through personal message, or when they can express their knowledge, not on paper and pencil tests, but on other way like videotaping, telling them, describing or explaining what they understand about a certain topic. We have to see this as an opportunity for them. And then it is also important that we share this with the kids. Hey, we cannot meet each other. You cannot go to the lab. You cannot experience this. But this is a challenge for us. So how can we do it? Tapping off what Ms. Yuliana just now said, make the children work. It doesn't mean that we press them. Yeah, it is not like giving them extra work and then we don't do anything. But the idea is we have to maintain active learning in the students. This is something new. I don't think we have enough articles, we have enough journals about this. Everyone around the world is facing this new thing. So I think I would rather start with the attitudes, yeah, how we see this. We see this positively, and we share the responsibility of the teaching and learning together as teachers and students. So in the classroom, in the virtual setting, we continue to maintain the spirit of community of learning. Teachers will be very confident to let the students know that she or he, herself or himself is a learner. And that itself is a so-called living pedagogy for the student to see, even my teacher is still learning, and then I can see how he survives learning. At the same time, the child also know I will be facing certain challenges. There will be certain things I don't know how to, it will be different from the way I used to learn. And I know these are the challenges and what are the resources I have now? What do my teachers provide for me? What do I have now in me myself? And how do I bring them together so that I can learn? I think that is the skill, yeah, that we want to build in our student. And for me, the way I see, we use the content in order to develop the skill, in order to give them experience how they can develop that skill.
Thank you for your expressive thoughts. I like the fact that you mentioned that we need to develop a working community with the learners so that they also recognize that we are in the journey together. And that's very humbling for an educator to make the admission that, look, we are walking in this pathway together. I'm not ahead of you. I'm also with you and holding your hands. That's very nice. But that's from perhaps your views from the primary school. Maybe we invite Mr. Mohan on the same thought. How would you see this from the secondary point of view, please?
Hello. I hope you can see me. Whether you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud
Yeah, all
and
right.
clear.
Okay. The background is not very clear. It's not actually the background is because all my hair is white, so it just blends in the background. So don't. All right. Now, maybe come to pedagogy. It's an important part. I think Mr. Paulos alluded to this earlier. During the pandemic, some of us had contact with some university in America, and they were expressing how they teach there. Distance learning, even in class, there's not classroom like the traditional classroom. And we explored more about this. As we explored, we saw the various possibilities which we can adopt to our school. So here is where we need to try and see, again, we got to go back to this saying, necessity is the mother of invention. So there's a need now. There's a need to improve. So we have to try to do something a bit different to get the best out of students, right? The traditional way of teaching, where a teacher is up in front and the teacher made the best voice, the best jokes, the best knowledge, and the students depend on him totally. I think what they say in the literature is the sage is the sage on the stage, right? Now, that was the traditional way of teaching. But now things have changed, especially with HBL. But the teacher cannot have that kind of presence there. And then even post-pandemic, do we want to go back to the sage and on the stage method? Right? There are many other ways. If you look into the literature, you'll find that many other teaching methodologies which we can try. Right now here, one of the interesting things I just bring up too, one is flipped classrooms. Flipped classroom, I think this term have been floating around for a very long time. It's only now I really understand and see the problems that come along with it. A flipped classroom, we expect the students to watch a video or read an article, come to class prepared, and the lesson will go on. But quite often, I think many teachers will attest to this, the students do not read. They do not watch a video, and they come to class. And it becomes a wasted lesson. And the teacher do not know whether to go back to the video, continue the lesson, where only half the class has read it. So there's a problem now. So now this is where, like what Mr. Paulo say, you need two hands to clap. We must change the students' mindset, right? It is a uphill task. The students, even parents will think a good teacher is there, bellowing out instructions and very strong voice. It doesn't mean that. It means the teacher, the preparing part. The students need to be prepared to learn. So this is where the students must learn how to learn. If they can do that, then it becomes a lifelong skill. And then even the teacher is not there, they know how to source information. The Google or YouTube or something, they can get source of information, they can learn themselves, right? But we need to teach the students at a very young age how to do this process, so that when they come to school, they are almost half there. And it won't be a constant disciplinary problem. There, of course, at certain points, the students do not do the work, they come to class unprepared. We must be strict to the student, because we are teaching him a skill of learning, and that will become a lifelong learning skill. Now, when it comes to the teachers, I think teachers also, we got to change our mindset or shift our paradigm. We cannot think of teaching in front every time and preparing. Some of us are very well prepared. Okay, I am one who is not very adept with technology, so I'm very careful of what I'm trying to say. Sometimes you have a lesson, you put a bit of technology, or one video or one PowerPoint slide or something, and you think that is technology. But this idea of blended learning is a very exciting thing that we want to explore. Blended learning is where it's a combination. It's not technology based at all. It's a combination of teacher, technology, student sharing. I'll just give an example of a class. If you're going to be an English class, I'm going to teach perhaps narrative writing, how to write a story. So the class, if you go to the class, the physical classroom, I'm not talking HBL, a physical classroom, there may be 3 stations. One station, the teacher is teaching, maybe a third of the class, maybe 7 students. Second station, there will be students working on a computer. Third station, students working with other students. And the last station is where they do the test. All right, I'll come to that later. Now, the first station, the teacher, remember, you got an hour or so, about 15 minutes. 15 minutes, the teacher will be giving a few instructions. Remember, you got to tell yourself, I only got 15 minutes. So I only can teach at the most 2 or 3 things. I may want to tell the students with narrative writing, how to use the past tense, how to use dialogue, how to perhaps inject some emotion into your writing. So 3 things. The next group, there'll be a group of students watching a video, maybe on a story, or reading another story online. So that's student doing your own thing. The third one is where the student, you give a task there, and then the student will be maybe recreating a story or something like that. And then, so you see, and after 15 minutes, they rotate to these 3 stations. And then the fourth station is where there'll be what we call an exit pass, where there'll be a small task to do. The whole class does it. The student writes an essay or a couple of paragraphs or something of that nature. So if you look at this process, you can see the student has got a bit of teaching information from the teacher, a bit of technology being used, which technology can be very, very good. The third one, they work with partners and try to create a story. They're working with in a group collaboration, and then finally their final product. You'll see how it's a much more thorough process. Now, this thorough process is what we need to try to achieve. See, the teacher only teaches a bit, but now the teacher's role changes. He's no more a frontal teacher where he give all the knowledge. He's on what they say, a guide on the side, right? Remember, sage on the stage, a sage on the stage, guide on the side. So he guides them. But it does not mean the teacher, as a facilitator, you just sit back and relax. The job becomes a bit more difficult. Your creation of the 4 stations becomes very intense, right? You must become what you call a real, rather than a curriculum rather than making lesson plans, you make lesson designs. So you design a lesson so that and the student get the maximum. So you see, the student know 1/3 of your knowledge comes from the teacher. Other 2 parts I can learn on my own. This is what we hope to perhaps try out. Now, this is just one method. If you go to the blended teaching, blended learning, there are I think 8 or 10 different ways. So again, this is for us, it's an exploration. Can we, what do I say, humble ourselves and go into this new paradigm and try to see the possibilities. All right. So those are things I like to share. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mohan. Once again, it's nice that you touched on flipped learning as well as blended learning, because we are in full support to encourage and help teachers to explore these strategies with regards to delivering lessons. And it's also nice that you are in agreement with Ms. Linawati. It's a humbling and learning journey even for the educators. Just a thought that Ms. Juliana mentioned earlier also on this topic, but is, some teachers might say, yeah, wow, flipped learning, blended learning is super, I like it, I've used it. Some might say, yeah, it's nice, but let's be honest, surviving in HBL mode, on a day-to-day is already consuming. So what should I be doing additionally with regards to getting this to work, because I don't have the time. So I don't know, maybe Mr. Paulus, would you want to chip in, since Ms. Juliana has mentioned something about this? Because some teachers might say, yes, it's nice, but let me be honest, hands up, I give up. I don't have time to learn. I don't have time to make all this because I'm trying to keep HBL afloat.
Okay, let me okay. Whatever that we discuss in this conference, far and wide, and even to the astrosphere, like I said, eventually, we all need to understand that it comes down to the teacher and the student, right? That is the essence of it, right? The quality of the interactions, the relationship, the bonding that you establish before you even impart your teaching and the content can only come from left hand, right hand, and this is teacher and student. ASD is not there, the principal is not there, nobody is there. So that's where the magic happens. So if the teacher say, I don't have time, and so, I mean, the whole thing just failed. I mean, so you got to really empower the teacher for this to work, and they must have just now, I think what Mr. Mohan is trying to say, know what is this blended learning, and on top of that, other things, other frameworks, whether it's designed for understanding and a flipped classroom or even the Kagan, they need to know, and they need to know what are the tools, what are the strategies, and how to do it, and with experience. So it's really come down to the teacher. So we got to ask whether the teacher next, if they're confused and they have struggled, we got to sit with them, right? As the HOD or the school mentor, teacher, or the principal, and work out their problems, right? Because really, I mean, it's about teacher and student. Okay, none of us matter, right? Okay, now having said that, okay, I felt here we are talking about a lot imparting knowledge, how to deliver content, through, especially through HBL, how to do it all the more challenging, right? I cannot touch, I cannot feel the students. But my thing is this, guys. Let's go back and talk about character and leadership. Talk a bit about the human connection before you even impart the mind. You got to touch the heart. How many times in our HPL we talk about that, guys? Especially, let's say in P1, I really can foresee these all new students that the first time on day one you have with the, so if I'm a P1 teacher, I don't have a history of who are these Tom, Dick, and Harry. All the more ask me to establish relationship, and all the more next to impart the whole curriculum of the year. I can understand all these challenges, but let's be real. Let's be real, right? Let's not talk just in passing and say, okay, we've covered it. We know what to do, and after that, expect magic to happen. I understand all these things. It really come down to, although I'm today in my introduction, I paid until the astrosphere, but I know in the end it comes down to the nitty gritty of the human heart, relationship, bonding, teacher, student. Okay, that's the crux of it, the essence of it. You got to believe. I know that too. Okay, now my thing also in this, let me just say, because there's teacher student, but we talk about student experience, student ownership, and so on. But my thing is also as a school, yeah, I think we need to also flip this. Like I said, this is the opportunity. The pandemic come in a lifetime, guys. Okay, I've shared with this, but again, my vision, I don't know how many of you really get it. My thing is, let's quickly try to simplify this. We need to work extra hard now, right? Because we are as all the more online, HBL. You need to step into the home. You need to step into the home as an educator, as a teacher, as a school, to take charge. To take charge of what? To take charge of an education. That's just now in my first slide, I say the basic essential services that we're trying to provide to the parents and the public. If they don't believe education is essential in this pandemic because it's not urgent, okay, the body harm, the respiratory system is is in danger, and they don't think about the heart, the mind, and the spirit, and so on. Okay, then these are not the parents, that are on board with us. Yeah, because we got to stick to our guns and deliver and fight and deliver, like we say, the high ideals, the objective of education. So if it is basic and essential, and you find as a teacher, you're struggling to establish relationship, then let it be. But you got to capitalize on opportunity. Meaning this, the students 24/7, they're not going to go anywhere. They're at home. They're at home, guys. So if you can be at home, you can control the whole timetable, the home schedule. Don't have to follow the class timetable. Why do we have to subject ourselves to, let's say, a dead-end road, something that is designed to fail? Because your timetable, your content, your SOW, your assessment, your pedagogy is based on the physical brick and mortar classroom, which right now you do not have. So you're trying to copy, transplant what you have in the brick and mortar into the online. It's a different world. It's a different context. It's a whole different story. Like the video say, we stop, we reimagine, we start from the beginning. But yet a lot of times I find we're trying to do patchwork. It doesn't work. Then we struggle. Saying we like just now I said in my presentation, the threats. Yeah, if you don't understand the threats in that tapestry, it's very difficult for you because everything it just look nice. You touch it, you feel it, you use it, but you don't know how to tweak it. You don't know how to play with the parts. You don't know how to play with nuts and bolts because you don't understand the tapestry, right? And it comes back and forth. These are educators. We have 300 something educators, teachers that come with a teacher trained education, the experience and so on. This knowledge I will have to throw back to the teachers because I'm not teacher trained. But I just have this idea because I've been in the school long enough, to catch on, and therefore form a kind of opinion and understanding to provide, a vision for everybody. But the answer is with you guys, yeah. How are you going to do this? Right? So, if the teacher come and say, I don't have time and so on, something is wrong. In our tapestry, something is knotted. Yeah, knotted, and the only way we can do this is we come together and untie the knot. Yeah, So there are many problems, guys. But let's be real. Let's be real. My thing is, let's be authentic and open up, open mind, and tackle this. And don't be stuck, in that mold of status quo and say, you know what, I gotta make what doesn't work. Okay, that's my biggest worry in this, because it's a whole new paradigm, a whole new world, a whole new vision, a new way of doing things. What we teach, how we assess are all different now. Right, Utai?
Yeah, very, very nicely said. I kind of like the fact that in your words, you make it sound that we are free to explore and do things as we see fit. That's very nice. It's very encouraging when it comes from someone in your position. So in short, teachers, one takeaway we get from Mr. Paul's comment is, we are all in this journey together. So let's not use the template from brick and mortar onto this online learning and expect everything to take place exactly in that fashion. So be explorative, be creative, and be on an adventure with the learners that you have, that you care for. Maybe just to touch on some questions on assessment, I'd like to invite Miss Juliana. Some schools, when the pandemic became a pandemic, they moved away from examinations. They started doing other modes of evaluation or assessment. Do you see a necessity for BBS to maybe adapt some of this? If not, then how would you still ensure that the exams that we're doing are still top notch? It's still of high caliber.
Yeah. Sometimes I see the questions as, can teachers produce difficult questions in exam? Oh, totally. It's very doable. So one of the challenges that teachers face is to moderate the questions such that it doesn't get too hard for the students, And the fact that the senior teachers are the one who oversee the whole exam questions, I can assure you that it will be pretty much the same as the previous years, because the people who are behind these papers are the same. That's one. Another thing is, I would like to see that our students do well because our teachers teach well with assessments or not. So not because we test them and therefore they do well, but because our teachers equip them well. That is something that we are proud of. Then we see the need, however, to shift our focus from assessment of learning, the summative assessment, and assessment for learning into assessment as learning. So how we want to put the teaching structure to make it like it's the color of BBS. Assessment happens all the time. As the teacher teach, the teacher assess. And what are the possible grades, or what are the kind of the grades that can be inserted such that you no longer rely on the summative assessment, which is so ancient, right? Now, we have done this kind of assessment as learning in the lower primary, and we hope to see more of that coming. Then we definitely will do away with summative somehow if we get all the other assessments in place, online and offline. And yeah, right.
Thank you. That's go on, Miss Linawati. You wanted to say something? Did you want to add something to that?
I think this discussion remain something, hot, be it during pandemic or even before pandemic. We experienced pandemic. And I think the way I see as educator, especially in the context of Bina Bangsa, I think what we are trying to say, even though we say we want to change, we want to shift, is actually, remember our context. For me, the way I see is maybe we want to reach a balanced assessment that will measure the children holistically. The way I see in terms of the tool, I feel that the school has been very strong in implementing one tool of assessment, one kind of assessment. And then the directions right now with the changes that we have, and even during this pandemic, it is the opportunity that enable us to have even limited choices. We have to do it. We don't have other things. this is the right time to do it, is we want to have a balance so that it is not only one tool, but many tools, so that the different ability, interest, skill that students have and can show will be acknowledged, and we can see them and evaluate them holistically. So I think there's nothing wrong with the tool that we are having now, but I think we don't want to make it the only tool. So that's why come other assessment. So I think I still remember last year even Mr. Paulus also say he challenged the principal to do it. He is waiting, but for us to do something. We have already summative. SA1, SA2 if it is in primary, maybe in secondary, the AS, IGC, SE and stuff. But if we are only thinking that as the end of everything, so that it translates and it dictates whatever we are doing in class, so that the class is actually, okay, test again, because at the end, you will take the test. That is the kind of directions that I believe, what I understand, the school leaders do not want us to go into that journey. So I think this is the time for us to consider, to explore more kind of assessment. We want to assess not only the result, but the process. We also want to assess not only the academic achievement, but the effective sides of that. So when we say reimagining, reshaping education, reimagining, reshaping the assessment, it is not it is not totally changed, but maybe we want to make it more diverse so that we can measure the person holistically. So I think that is my view. Of course, we still don't know. I mean, like, while we know, I think it takes some time, and this thing is for us to explore together, learn, reflect, what went well, do it, improve it. Part of the learning is also knowing that that is not the right, that is not the appropriate thing to do, because you will not know until you try. So I think, yeah, that is still the spirit that we want to do. Do it, try it.
Very nicely said. I like the fact that you said that we are not only focusing on the destination, but also the journey, the process involved. So, and it's nice that you say that, we won't get rid of what we are currently doing, but we look for, other things to add on to, that list of means of evaluation. Mr. Mohan, anything to chip in from the secondary point of view, the secondary school point of view?
Right. For the secondary school, I think we must face this. We are somewhat limited by our national examinations. We have to take the IGCSE, we have to take the A levels. That is a given, right? And I think many students come to our school for this international qualification, which can get them many, many places. But what I think is, perhaps we do not start from day one thinking of the exam. In Sec 1, we don't have straight away prepare them for examination. We can prepare them for something a bit more wider, right? Have a bit of knowledge, right? Of course, the exams are the end product where many parents want, but we can, as a teachers, we know that there are many other areas that the students need to touch to make a complete student. Again, go back to, can we get the students to be lifelong learners, not just for the examination, but examinations and beyond, right? We were, I know that just before HBL, we are all geared to prepare the students to take the examination. We're all, I think it was test paper after test paper, preparing them, and then this thing came in. And then we did not have the examination, right? They did some other way of assessing the students, which is still not what we have in mind. And then we went to this end of this year, there's another lot of examinations coming. We are not sure whether it will happen or not. All right. So again, everything is in limbo. I mean, everything is in up in the air. But I think what we can do is, as teachers, we got to be a bit more creative and the examination is part of it. If you, again, I go back to the Cambridge syllabus itself. If you look at it, there are a lot of things more than memory. There's evaluation, there's application, there's creativity, all within the framework of the syllabus itself, which sometimes we miss, and we just tell them to focus on the where they can get the marks. But so this, we can move away. I came across this term, edu-creators. So we are not educators, but edu-creators. We are creating material for students to make them ready for life. So this is where the idea of academics is one part, right? So when you talk about life, like what Mr. Paulo say, there's a one big area of character. How can we do that, right? And under HBL is a added challenge, definitely, right? Because the students, they are only with us for a very short time. The home environment develops a character. So we are fighting an uphill battle. So we must be very very mindful of these things. But again, as I said, the main idea is we don't have to start preparing the students for the examination from day one. It can be part of it. And we must believe that if we do everything else well, the students will get the grades. So the student will know how to be a lifelong learner, but he'll still get the grades. So that's something we can think about. And a lot, I mean, it's not a simple thing as that. It needs a lot of discussion, a lot of thought that must go into it. Thank you.
Thank you. So that means secondary will have to work very well with primary. So Ms. Linawati, we are in a partnership because we introduce all this concept early on, but we don't frighten the kids. But when time comes in secondary, they are ready for it. That's a very nice expression from you, Mr. Mohan. But we'll stop on the questions for the panelists that I've prepared. I think that's basically what we intend to throw towards you guys. We'll take some questions from the floor. I've got some questions, but I'm going to try to combine them so that it makes sense. We have got questions where some parents late into the night, they communicate using WhatsApp, and they communicate maybe because they're concerned, maybe they are wondering, are their kids learning or whatsoever. So, is there any means for the communication to be made mandatory on the parent communication app so that any questions can be directed through this channel? Now, I'm going to combine that with another question, because sometimes parents also raise this complaint, whether it comes to WhatsApp or some other channel. They say that, look, I'm being teacher and I'm also being parent, whilst the teacher is at home conducting lessons, because some of my child are not cut out for this type of learning. They hardly know what to press, where to go, what to do. So I'm sitting next to my kiddo and showing him or her how to do it, what to do it. And along the way, some teachers are concerned that this kid doesn't fit the HBL style of learning. So I think they're going to miss out because they are designed for brick and mortar. How do we handle such situation? Maybe I'll direct this to Mr. Paulus.
My quick response is this. I think as a parents, school, we need to work together, right? I mean, the pandemic is not brought about by you, it's not brought by me, but we suffer together. So definitely there are going to be challenges, problems, and issues. But let's take a look at the big picture, right? Because if we in spirit, in mind, have the same vision, right? Have the same mindset, I think the rest is about finding solutions, right? Even the solution is not perfect, it's okay, right? I mean, I mean, this is unprecedented situation. We all know. So my thing for me is, it comes back to us as an educator, taking a look at the situation and say, at home, right? They're in a turmoil, right? I mean, some parents are there, some are not there, some are working, some children, if left alone, from young ones, kindergarten to JC, they're at home. If you don't provide a focal point, you don't provide this education objective, right? That we say just now is basic and essential. And you don't push for it. That means you don't try to find the logistics and the operation means to get it done. then we'll be tackling issues like this. I don't know how to help my children push the button. How do I get the iPad? How do I turn on the laptop? Everybody got to chip in. There's no I'm saying A to Z manual that we have rehearsed and we provide solutions for you. We're all in this together, right? So we need to let the parents know, right? If you're on board with us, we will carry the education, ideals and objective the best that we can through this unprecedented, situation. But you got to play your part too, right? And take it from there. I felt, what, if just not back to what my situation, if the family is in turmoil, all they need is us as an educator, as a school. We have 300 something teachers here that we can help. Don't know how many families, in BBS, go to their homes, not just thinking about, imparting teaching content and pedagogy and assessment. You have a character and a leadership. You have the other student development. Why can't form, in this case, some order at home, some routines at home, right? So that it will help your teaching and learning. Why can't you work also on some of the habits, the habits and values, let me say, at this moment we need. Let's say teamwork. They can work with their brothers to set up the, help them in their preschool teaching and learning through online. Tap into their resources, at home. They have nannies. We're lucky, we're blessed with nannies. Maybe in this case, some of these thing, you have a training session with the nannies and let them know how to operate an iPad so they can help the children at home and deliver what you want to do. We got to be innovative and enterprise in this. You see, that's what back and forth I'm saying. But if the questions are coming in like this, I think we're missing the big picture. Utai, I recently even challenged the preschoolers, right? Because they really have a hard time delivering this. I say, and I want to do more than just teaching preschoolers. Build a little engine, build relationship. If they're 24/7 there, we'll find a way. We are not going anywhere. We're working from home. The children are there also 24/7 at home. We'll send a governor. We will go in and act as a governor, as an educator, to not just teach, but run the whole household. I'm stretching a bit, but basically that's what I think they need. And if our HBL is like that, it's different from other schools. And also parents will find they want to pay. Why? Because you're giving more and it makes sense. This is what they need. So I'm, Utai, if you keep asking me this very specific questions, what I'm saying is like, I get the knot, we can tie this, but I think we're missing the whole tapestry.
Thank you very much. What's nice is I've learned that some teachers, they go beyond, they build friendship with the parents, not only with the kids, and they don't do that only for complaint reasons. They also communicate with the parents to say, hey, well done, your child did this and that was a marvelous contribution. So this sort of active role playing by the teachers have certainly helped achieve what Mr. Paulus was mentioning earlier. There's a question earlier, this one maybe I'd like to address to Miss Juliana. One of the things that we are going to introduce for the new academic year is virtual lab. Is this going to be quite extensive? Because there's a question here, hands-on activities in science are irreplaceable, says Mr. Edwin. We will just do our best to maximize. That's very encouraging. So he's saying we as teachers will do our best to maximize. But then again, he makes the acknowledgement that resources are limited. Is the school going to support in any way extra?
You're gonna have the virtual lab. The virtual lab is just like the normal lab setup, except that it's in the picture and you drag and click mode, I don't know. It's just like cooking. You must do the real cooking. You can't visualize cooking. But the best is definitely to know what needs to be mixed with what to create what. At least that's the basic there. So when the students get a hand on it, it's familiar because they have rehearsed it somehow visually. So we have the virtual lab and the resources are in it, and it's ready for Sec 1 all the way to Sec 3 with all the variety of experiments. I think, we're gonna have that. It's gonna be.
Thank you very much. And I'm very sure there are also teachers who have explored some other simulations that are available made by some universities. Speaking to such teachers, they would also give you some ideas. Mr. Mohan, you raised your arm. Is it something you wanted to share with the audience?
I think maybe we should put this in perspective. Day one of school, we don't change the entire thing. It must be very, very baby steps. Baby steps, and we cannot make the giant leap immediately. So I think we got to explore. Sometimes we fail, we keep exploring, but we start this this change or this journey rather than stay put, status quo. So it takes baby steps. So again, try to, within your department itself, try one or two things. So if you want to try something, maybe the flipped classroom, try with one group. Not every lesson is flipped. So there's a flexibility must be there, right? So when you're confident, then you go to the next stage, right? Thank you.
Once again, very encouraging. We are being encouraged, as I see it in this discussion, that we got to try, we got to be creative, don't be rigid, and don't feel like it's the end of the road, there's no solution. You face a wall, try to walk around it or climb over it, or break into it. That's very nice. It's very nice, especially to hear it from the school leaders. I've got one last question to ask because of time. Parents have different views as to what effective learning is basically defined as. Sometimes they say that more screen time equals to effective learning. Some might say more homework is equals to effective learning. But just to round up this discussion, how can we in a very conclusive way say, as an educator, yes, effective learning has been achieved because I did A, B, C. And parents are also convinced, yes, teacher, you did A, B, C, hence effective learning took place in this lesson. And the kid also have no reasons to complain or say that, Mom, I did not learn B, the teacher only taught me A and C. Is there any way where we can, maybe round this up and give like a clear definition? I don't know, Mr. Paulus, would you like to chip in on this as the final comment?
A, B, C, we want to do A to Z, Utai. If you miss B, take a look at the whole picture. I mean, is it relevant? Is it important? Is it urgent? I would say, because I don't know what is this B, but if you just now say this B is about building the little engine of learning and growth in the children, then that is very important. That we want to do. We got to bring the school as a body of educator, into our HBL. I think that's basically it. A simple message. Right now we're talking a lot about delivery content. But content is only part of it. Even if assessment, for me, I find our pen and paper. Just now Mr. Mohan rightfully say is the students, fact of life. They need the IGCSE, they need the level. Fine. I mean, that's a fact of life. We cannot run away from it. But we got to advocate to the parents and ourselves and teachers. No, this is only part of a bigger learning outcomes that we have spelled out in smart character leadership. I mean, even in SMART also, we are talking about intelligent SMART. Multiple intelligence SMART. So what is this pen and paper? You take it in the context, okay? Say, okay, this is fact of life. I need to do this. We have to get through this. But I always feel, if you build the engine, if you build the competencies, you build the skills, you build the learning to learn, you build the discipline, you build the habits, you build the character into this, and having the students feeling they own this and they will grow with or without you. The sky is the limit, and for us, it's like just what I think Mr. Mohan was trying to say. We are not the sage, but on the stage, we are the facilitator. We are the counselors. We are the guidance. We are the master planner. We are the architect. We are the builder. But in the end, the children got to learn. We can only provide that environment as best as we can, right? And like I say, make the hand clap. So I felt back and forth in the HBL. Sometimes we go down this dead end road of how we're going to deliver the curriculum, and because we have to do assessment, and assessment is the one and all of everything. Then, like I say, it's a not for me. You know, there's no solution to this. You know, unless we tie it up, we look at the big picture. Okay, we stick to a vision. Okay, that all the stakeholders have, and like I said, I mean that's we are teaching for life, not for exam, right? We're teaching them for life. What if I tell everybody, okay, you know what? Can we design in next year or this year assessment that tests on character and leadership, because that is most important, right? Just now in the earlier session, I say your content, even though you get a university degree, Cambridge diploma, you might fail in life. You might change career, and your knowledge is obsolete. So if you don't teach the skills, and let's say if I say, guys, build an FYE, yeah, SA2 that tests only skills, yeah, how will it look like? Build a test that tests on the disposition and discipline and the greed and determination. How do you do that? You see, so we gotta really come back. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I really hope this pandemic, make us stop, really evaluate and think, and we have to change. We have to change because the world is changing, and we don't want to be obsolete, or we don't want to get left behind. I know this sounds all high, lofty, and ideal and so on, but nevertheless, to me, this is real. This is real. We got to take it on. And like what we say, build on our past, connect the dots. I'm very optimistic that we have a formula that really can produce excellent results. So we are a front runner among all the other schools here in Indonesia. Except now we got to build whatever that we are weak, whatever things that we are in the gap that we have to bridge the gap and fulfill. Just now a lot of these visions that we have. So so we are really preparing them for life, right? Like just now we say, and as educator, just now the video played is you don't make a living by what you get, right? But what you give, right? And like just now in the HPL, let's talk about how much we can give, okay? And be that educator at home, okay, with the children, because this is it. I mean, they're 24/7. We can connect them. We can even teach them at night if you want to on something. And like I say, if you want to build a reading program, best is you want to build a family bonding between the child and the father and the mother. Do it at home for 15 minutes. Why can't we Zoom like this? And the teacher, okay, do it with the parents and the child. This is the time for us to do something like that. You try come back next year and do something like that. Parents will be scratching their head and say, what are you doing? What are you doing, right? So let's tap on and seize all these opportunities. I think there's a lot we can do, except we got to be open-minded and creative, and at the same time critical. What can work, what cannot work, we need to know. I mean, if the goal is too high and we jump and we can fall down the building and die. I understand that we have to be realistic also. But it's time for us to explore, right? And seize this opportunity the best we can, and offer, like we say, remain as the market leader with innovation and enterprise. That is the DNA or spirit of BBS.
Thank you very much for sounding very optimistic and also telling us to be so. One last concluding statement from Ms. Puganesia. It seems that she got the gist or the idea to our discussion. She says, hence we need to look into what we can do to improve HBL, not question it. That's very nicely stated. So we all should be thinking about improving and moving forward. So thank you once again to our distinguished panel speakers, as well as to the audience for their wonderfully crafted questions. Back to Mr. Samuel now.
Thank you, Mr. Utai, and all the panelists, Ms. Juliana, Ms. Lina, Mr. Paulus, and Mr. Mohan. I think the support for in this situation not only comes from the school leaders, but also may come from your peers, your colleagues. And that's why there will be PD Day on the 15th of July, where we will get support. We will get a lot of experience, sharing of best practices from your colleague. So we will give you more details about this PD Day. In a moment, we will go for lunch break. I hope you are ready with your. I hope you have prepared your own meal because we don't provide the lunch. And we will continue with our concurrent sessions at 1:15. Yeah, at 1:15. So you can leave this webinar and join join different link for 1:15 to 2:30 session. Yeah, that is for primary and secondary. For preschool, Chinese and music teachers, you will also leave the webinar and join your concurrent session and stay there until 3:30. And all of you, we will be back here in this webinar at 3:45 for the closing remarks. So again, we will have this webinar session at 3:45 to close the day. Okay. During the break time, during the while you are having your lunch, please also check the conference website. You can put your thoughts, what's on your mind there, and check some announcement. Thank you. Enjoy your lunch.